Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today. I remembered to save some mail to open on camera on a gray, rainy day here in Boston. It did snow for about 15 seconds last night. So we got 1/100th of 1 inch, which is a record. We don't see snow here ever, so it hasn't snowed here in forever. But we got 1/100th of an inch, and then there was a pause, and now it looks like it's just going to pizzle down rain half-heartedly, probably for a few days. So nothing that you can hear, nothing that's making an impact on you, but it will leave you with a wet little schnauzer if you're out for a walk. So I think I've got enough light left to do a mail haul. We'll go through some packages and also a periodical. I got the London Review of Books in the mail, and one thing that I noticed, I haven't read it yet, but one thing that I noticed in the table of contents is that, let's see here, Sheila Fitzpatrick reviews Anna Reid's book, A Nasty Little War. We got the finished copy of it yesterday on this channel, book about the Western intervention in the Russian Revolution in 1917. And I mentioned yesterday that I had the advanced copy, but I haven't got to it yet because I've been so merrily playing in the playground of January releases that I really do need to start making inroads into February. So I saw it reviewed in the London Review, and it was a little bit taken aback for a minute because the gentleman's agreement in the reviewing world is that you don't review a title well ahead of its release date, especially if you're going to have anything negative to say about it. And if you're not going to have anything negative to say about it, then you're part of the book's advertising budget and you should hang your head in shame. But if you're going to say anything negative about it, it isn't really cricket to do that when you're the only one who has possession of the floor, when the book can't speak for itself. That's a generally unwritten rule, but it has exceptions. It's not a hard and fast rule. It wavers all over creation because there are factors that can change it. One factor that has always been able to change it are the industry journals. There are a handful of industry journals. Publishers Weekly, of course, is the most famous one. Kirkus Reviews, Library Journal. They review things as soon as they can. So they will get advance copies of stuff months before it comes out in bookstores. But the reason they're doing that is because they are used by people who are ordering books for schools, for libraries, even bookstores, who are going to want a little bit of advance word about these things. So it's understood in the industry that even if you get a wallopingly negative review from Publishers Weekly, that is fair play. Because it's an industry journal, it's a trade journal, it's not really made for the public to read, although Publishers Weekly is a lot of fun to read. If you're just a bookish person, it's a lot of fun to read. That's one exception. And the other way that the whole gentleman's agreement tends to be fungible, it depends on the size of your venue and the nature of your venue. London Review of Books is famous, they're infamous for not really caring about release dates on books. I think their new editorial drift cares a lot more about that than they ever did. But it's still common for you to find a year-old book being reviewed in the London Review. That will never happen in most other review journals. Most other review journals are paying a lot of homage to currency. They want to review something that's new. Hence the whole point of the gentleman's agreement is that the book is coming out, people are seeing it in bookstores, they might be talking about it, they might be seeing the author do press. Here's our review of it. The London Review doesn't have that reputation. The New York Review of Books for a long, long time didn't have that reputation either. It was this essay is drawn from or based on these books, or these books are considered in this piece. So not a review at all. You're not even making a pretense of calling it that. But something like the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or the Washington Post, with venues like that, where you're running straight up book reviews, you generally don't want to review something weeks before it comes out. That's generally seen as dirty pool. So I was a little bit startled to see it in the London Review, and then I remembered, oh wait, the London Review, they're all over the map. So still ought to see it ahead of time. I would expect that maybe I would see it months from now. And another parameter that has come to the fore in the 21st century with the rise of the internet is the size of the platform. Generally speaking, it's, I think, kind of assumed that if your platform is really large enough so that a negative review would hurt the sales of the book, then you especially don't want to pop off about it early. Whereas if you're a tiny venue, well, then you can pop off early if you want to, because not many people are paying attention. I don't know how much stock I put by that particular new wrinkle. I'm a champion of tiny venues. I have a whole bunch of tiny venues. There's Open Letters, of course, which is the online literary journal where I'm one of the editors, where our reach is fairly tiny. The only reason that I don't rail against that is because it's exactly the reach I want. Exactly the people that I want to read it are reading it. I can stand for a few more of those people to read it. Of course, I want everybody to read it. I'd love it if it was a runaway hit. But I'm not worried about it getting to the people I want to get to. There's also Big Canoe News in northern Georgia, a tiny, tiny newspaper, very small circulation. We aren't even penetrated into the Atlanta market. Instead, we're in one very specific locale, but it's a full-color newspaper. It's beautifully designed, and they have an independent book section. Not a book review in an art section, but 2 pages of book reviews, and I'm the editor of that section. When you think about it, there are plenty of bigger newspapers in the country. I don't think there are any smaller newspapers in the country. There are plenty of bigger newspapers in the country. Think about the B and C list. Think about the Times-Picayune or the Des Moines Register or something like that. They will have an arts editor, and probably if you poke around on their masthead, you might find a books editor, but that person will have plenty of other jobs to do. And they don't have a book section to oversee anyway. If there's a books editor, that means that occasionally there will be a book review in the paper. It won't be every day. And it'll be in the arts section. It won't have a section of its own. So when you think about it, although Big Canoe is very small, the number of people in the country who are paid book section editors, where they don't do anything else, that's what they do, is very, very small. That number is very, very small. Most B and C list, C tier newspapers don't have dedicated book sections, and they have long since junked them. So there's that as well. In other words, I'm a connoisseur of very, very small venues. So I don't think anybody would care if I popped off on, that Russian Revolution book now, but I still feel like I want to wait. I want to wait until February, when everybody else is writing about it or running their reviews of it. I'm sure that a lot of critics are writing reviews right now, but they won't show up until February. So that was interesting. I haven't read the rest of that issue, so I don't know what else is in there. But let's look at the books that we have here and see if there's anything of interest. This first one is not coming quietly. Oh goodness! All right, well, got scissors right here, but that's kind of rare. That I have to cut my way into one of these things. Ordinarily, I can handle just about anything. Let's keep the scissors nearby just in case. What was worth all this trouble, Baby Bean? I guarantee you it was not worth it. Right? What was all that trouble, baby? So I guarantee that it was. Let's see. Let's see what this is. What on earth? What are you doing? Oh my God! What are you thinking? There's a note from the publicist saying enjoy, but it's on a piece of paper and it was taped to the cover. What on earth? What are you thinking? Anyway, let's just move. Oh, okay. Oh, wonderful. Okay, this is a paperback of Audrey Schulman's book, The Dolphin House, and this is in paperback. This came out last year, I believe. It's got blurbs from the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal, so I vaguely remember this. Oh, 2022. Okay, this is the rather stylish paperback of The Dolphin House. Rather nice. Let's see what we have here. Won't have a sheet for this anyway because this is a paperback reprint. Based on the true story of an infamous 1960s experiment, this novel is a meditation on what it makes us truly human. What makes us truly human? We make interesting TV shows, and we are genocidal at birth. 1965 is the year. Outside a small house on the coast of St. Thomas, 4 dolphins are circling in a pool. They are part of a research project led by the obsessive Dr. Bloom, a man aiming to teach them human language, among other things. To stave off some of Bloom's more insidious experimentations, Cora, fresh from a ticket to the island and with a deep and immediate connection to the creatures, suggests they build a submerged apartment where she can live and speak with the youngest dolphin full time. But when her instincts clash with the male-dominated world of science and a terrible scandal threatens to engulf the experiment, Cora's determination to save the dolphins becomes a battle to save herself. And the Washington Post, I think it was Ron Charles, wrote, "You will be unable to look away from the page, hardly able to draw a breath." This is from the folks at Europa Editions. And the Wall Street Journal, it's just a single word, engrossing. And the author was born in Montreal, but lives now in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I don't know that I read this back when it came out. Did we haul it on this channel? Any of you remember if we hauled it on this channel? But it doesn't matter to me because Open Letters Review, the online literary journal that I mentioned a minute ago, new release paperbacks, books that are newly out in paperback are certainly within our remit. So I'm going to get rid of the offending card with tape on it and just move on. We're going to see if any of the rest of these make me manhandle them the way that one did, or maybe I'm just losing my grip. Yeah, this one won't open either. Okay, well, I've got scissors, so we'll just cut our way into this next one. See if it is worth the trouble as well. I swear. Well, the last two were cardboard. I should be able to manhandle them. So what is this? A little hardcover. How interesting. Okay, no details on this. No idea if this is out already. Oh, this is well made. This is by Keith Calhoun Senghor, with illustrations by Liv Senghor, and it is called How to Get a Job and Keep a Job. The Fundamentals of Organizational Politics. And there's an asterisk on the title, and it takes you down to a note at the bottom, the things they don't teach you in school. How to get a job and how to keep a job is this little hardcover. And it's, I don't know how well you're going to be making it out, but it's illustrated all throughout. There are spot illustrations and full page illustrations all throughout. Let me get you another example of this. All in a very signature style. So I don't have a pub sheet for this, but we'll just read about it here. We'll read the back here. This is a no-nonsense job survival manual. It is a brief, practical, brutally honest guide for students, interns, and anyone starting or changing their careers as seeking to navigate the stormy internal politics of their organizations. So we've got Julius Caesar being assassinated. Hey, I hope it's not that bad. It is based on the author's more than 40 years of experience in the U.S. government as an in-house attorney with major corporations and as a senior counsel to major international law firms in the U.S. and Europe. Is the author Brita? So it describes in plain English and in 24 Calhoun Senghor rules the critical political skills you must master to succeed in jobs in the United States, Europe, or virtually anywhere else in the world. This is the stuff they don't teach you in school. This political survival guide offers concrete steps, clearly organized rules, humor, and moving personal stories to describe the essential skills necessary to survive in today's competitive job market. And then the final line, because your talent alone is not enough. I have a feeling this author knows what he's talking about. I have a feeling that is true, but that is pretty stark. That is pretty stark. So the chapter 3 just lays out the rules of what they are. Okay, fantastic. Not the usual kind of fare from me, but still. All right, we're going to put the scissors away because I don't think I'm going to need them. And you got to, when you pick up scissors to use them, the number one rule is that the instant you're finished with them, you put them away. You put them away. You don't leave them floating around or getting lost in a pile of blankets so that the next time you sit down, you get gouged. Put them away. But anyway, now we've got the last two here, and they are going to come quietly. They are cardboard. Them I can just manhandle. So let's see what this first one is. Get rid of the invoice. What have we got here? Okay, this comes out in April. This is from Claire Beams. It's a novel called The Garden. This viral cover design ethos that's this aesthetic I don't like at all. These big block letters, but that's just the cover. Oh my God, the back is covered in blurbs. Good Lord. Okay, all right. I don't have a sheet for this thing, but we'll go into the middle here. In 1948, so this is more historical fiction. In 1948, Irene Willard, who's had 5 miscarriages in a quest to give her beloved husband the child he desperately desires, and is now pregnant again. Kick him out the back door, Irene. Tell him to get a dog. For Pete's sake. You're not a science experiment. comes to an isolated house cum hospital, could have been better phrased, in the Berkshires, run by a husband and wife team of doctors who are pioneering a cure for her condition. There's nothing wrong with your condition. There's nothing wrong with your condition. The thing that needs a cure is your weird husband. Warily, she enlists herself in their efforts to, quote, rectify the maternal environment, both physical and psychological. She also discovers a long-forgotten walled garden on the spacious grounds, a place imbued with its own powers and pulls. As the doctor's plans begin to crumble, Irene and her fellow patients make a desperate bid to harness the power of the garden for themselves, and must face the incalculable risks associated with such incalculable rewards. Ooh, that sounds really good. That sounds really good. The pub sheet, though, the description here says that it has shades of Sarah Waters' book, The Little Stranger, which I haven't read. That's a Sarah Waters novel I haven't read. And also Rosemary's Baby, which of course I have read. I wouldn't raise it in this context. And the book delves into territory of motherhood, childbirth, and the struggle for power over women's bodies and lives. Well, the struggle for power over your own body, Irene, came when you agreed to go to this quack factory because your husband desperately wants a child. He's willing to put you through physical trauma and mental trauma, emotional trauma of 5 miscarriages. Boot him. He's the problem. So who is Claire Beams when she's at home? She's the author of the novel The Illness Lesson and a story collection called We Show What We Have Learned, which won the Bard Fiction Prize and was a Kirkus Best Debut Fiction of 2016. And she was a finalist for the 2023 Joyce Carol Oates Prize. Oh, well, this is a well-designed galley copy here, because this is not only covered in blurbs, but it also gives a full glimpse for the reviewer of what kind of publicity tour this is going to get, what kind of publicity events. All right, The Garden sounds ready-made for the movies. But I don't have to worry about it. It's down the line, so I don't have to worry about it yet. I'm not going to. I'm not going to worry about anything I don't need to worry about, because I'm having such a blast splashing around in the blood and entrails of January books. All right, so what is this last one? Oh, okay. All right. I don't have a sheet for this either. Oh, right, I was emailed about this. This comes out in July. This is called This Great Hemisphere, and it's by Matteo Ascaripour, who wrote Black Buck. It deeply disturbed me. I didn't know what to make of it. I got rid of it. I got the advanced copy. I got the finished copy. I got rid of it. And then, I don't know how many of you remember, a couple of years ago, I found the trade paperback. And a bell went off in my head. That hasn't let you go. That book hasn't stopped bothering you the whole time. So read it again. And I did. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So and this is by that author. So his credit in the Bank of Steve is pretty high. So let's see what we have here. Speculative novel about a young woman, invisible by birth and relegated to second-class citizenship, who sets off on a mission to find her older brother. Okay, so despite the odds, Sweet Mint, a young, invisible woman, has done everything right in her entire life, school, university, and now a highly sought-after apprenticeship with the Northwestern Hemisphere's premier inventor, a non-invisible man belonging to the dominant population in capital letters, who is as eccentric as he is enigmatic. So a whole portion of the population is invisible, literally invisible. But the world she has fought so hard to build after the disappearance of her older brother comes crashing down when authorities claim that not only is he alive and well, he's also the main suspect in the murder of the chief executive of the Northwestern Hemisphere. A manhunt ensues, and Sweet Mint, armed with courage, intellect, and unwavering love for her brother, sets off on a mission to find him before it's too late. Okay, what happened to the premier inventor? With 5 days until the Hemisphere's big election, Sweet Mint must dodge the relentless law officer who's determined to maintain order and an ambitious politician whose sights set on becoming the next chief executive by any means necessary. But what about the inventor? I guess I'll find out. I'm sure that this author will not drop plot points. I'm positive of that. That's one of the benefits of somebody having credit in the Bank of Steve, is that they're not going to make rookie mistakes. with the captivating world building of N.K. Jemison's novels, well, we could do with a little bit less of that. Here's hoping that it's the captivating world building of N.K. Jemison's novels without quite so much of its foaming at the mouth racism. That would be great. And the blazing defiance of Naomi Alderman's work. Okay, all right. Well, I'd like the blazing defiance of Naomi Alderman's work, but with a little more literary ability. So I can't be satisfied, I swear. It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This one is just right. This novel is a novel that brilliantly illustrates the degree to which reality can be shaped by non-truths and vicious manipulations, while shining a light on our ability to surprise ourselves when we stop giving in to the narratives others have written for us. Okay, this is going to be a $30 hardcover in the Tuesday after the 4th of July, July the 9th. And the author... okay. Wants the first line of his author bio is Matteo Ascaripour wants people to feel seen. Okay, great. I don't really care what you want, but that line, whenever anyone says it, when that's the first thing they say, I want people to feel seen, invariably, I have yet to find an exception. If this author is the exception, that would be great. I'm not going to look at interviews because I don't want to know. But invariably, in the last 6 years, when I have seen someone say what I foremost want is for people to feel seen, invariably what that means is not I want people to feel seen, but I want people that look like you, Steve Donoghue, to be unseen, to vanish. I'm saying the one thing, but I can live with it not being true. The thing I really want when I'm saying I want people to be seen is that I want some people to be gone. I want you to be gone. Cis-het white men. I want cis-het white men to feel not seen. I don't want them to be seen. I don't really care so much if anybody else is seen or feels seen. If I can get that, I'll take that. Well, this author might not feel that way. I could be wrong. I'm not going to care about it anyway because he writes great books. That's ultimately all I should care about, right? Shut up and dribble, I believe is the phrase. Let's just get into more trouble, though. His first novel, Black Buck, takes on racism in corporate America with humor and wit. Boy, did it ever. The wit is sharp as a knife. Boy, did it ever. What a book. If your library has Black Buck, you should read it. Especially, again, because I am not this guy's enemy, no matter what his indoctrination might tell him. I will say you should read Black Buck, and I will add, especially if you are a comfortable white person in America. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy, should you. I wouldn't say that if it were just a dumb, dreary, blue-haired polemic, but it's really good writing. It's a really enjoyable book. It's just there's a complacency that comes. The actual real version of so-called white privilege is all the things that if you're white in a white majority country, you don't have to think about. And that book just skewers them. It deserves the immortality that I suspect it will have. I would suspect if 2025 goes radically different from what I think it will, then I would suspect that in 2050, Black Buck will be taught in schools. And we'll just have to see about this. I don't know about this one, but let's just keep going on here. It was a New York Times bestseller and a Read with Jenna Today show book club. I have no idea what that is. The author was chosen as one of Entertainment Weekly's 10 rising stars to make waves and was named as a recipient of the National Book Foundation's 5 Under 35. And The Great Hemisphere is his second novel. And he lives in, say it with me now, Brooklyn. But second novels are ordinarily trouble for authors. Especially authors who hit it big in their first try out at bat. A lot of times those authors haven't really thought beyond the novel that made it for them, the novel that was everything to them. It was the air they breathed. It was every meal. It was every thought. And then there's the fighting to get it found, to get it represented, to get it shopped around, to get it bid upon, to get it published. Ordinarily, although young authors especially will tell you that, the stories keep bubbling up in me, I dream narratives. Ordinarily, they have not many firm plans beyond that. They will have short stories that they have farmed around before the novel took over. And that's usually the second book, is a collection of short stories, those earlier short stories. In huge percentage of the cases, when we're talking about an author's second book, it's actually earlier work. It doesn't sound like that's what this is. It sounds like this was written after Black Buck. So we will see. We will see. I will not be getting to this until the summer. I'm eager to, but I have a million other things to read. So I don't know that I'll be getting to any of these unless this one is already out. It's a finished copy, so it might already be out. But anyway, that's the mail for today. We have a new novel by a novelist I really like. We have The Garden, about a weird fertility solution, maybe. We have The Dolphin House, which came out already. Did any of you read The Dolphin House? It came out years ago, a couple of years ago. And finally, How to Get a Job and Keep a Job, the stuff they don't teach you in school. So there you go. That is the mail for today. All fiction, except for the job manual. But that's okay by me. That's fine by me. Anyway, that is the mail for today. So I'm going to wrap this up. But I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.